In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to cut this stylish conical blazer blouse. So if this is something you like, please kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So here's my pattern and I'm going to be cutting this in a miniature size. So I marked the shoulder to bust line, shoulder to under bust line, shoulder to waistline. Then for your blouse length, choose either 7.5 to 8 inches, or go ahead to measure whatever length that is okay for you from the waistline. Now you'll be marking your button allowance. For the button allowance, I'll be using 1 inch at the front part, and I'll go ahead to draw out a straight line at that part. After marking that out, I'll write BA as button allowance. Here I'll start marking my shoulder after the button allowance. I'll mark the shoulder divided by 2 plus half. Now I'll go ahead to mark a basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches. Note, I'm just cutting this in a miniature size and I'm not using the actual measurement. I'll just go ahead to connect. From here, I'll come down by 1 inch from the shoulder and I'll connect to the basic neckline of 3 by 3 inches. I'll find my chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5, and draw a line there. Now mark your shoulder divided by 2 plus half again and place your ruler to connect. After connecting this, what you do is to divide your shoulder into 2 and mark, your chest line or armhole into 2. Come in by ½ inch, place your tape and mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Connect from the upper part to the midpoint and to the bust circumference divided by 4. Now I'll start by marking my darts. To mark your darts, mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2, and you're going to mark this all the way down. So after you're done marking this, go ahead to place your ruler and you're going to connect all the way up and also connect it to the lower part of your pattern. Now I'll be marking a dart intake, but first I'll connect from the midpoint to my bust. That is that midpoint that we have at the armhole. Mark ½ inch here and 1.5 if your bust is on the smaller size. Let's say if you're on the bigger side, you mark 1 inch in front and 2 at the side. Also repeat that at the lower part, and after marking this, I'll place my ruler to connect. I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect this. After connecting this, I'll also connect at the other side of the pattern. Connect from the bust to the under bust and connect to the other side. Now I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of my pattern and I'm going to go ahead to blend this to the initial dart line. This ½ inch on both sides giving me 1 inch. I'll extend it to the armhole and reconnect. Now let's go ahead to mark our body measurement. Mark the bust circumference divided by 4. That intake at the armhole, I will replace and add ½ inch. Mark the under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add a sewing allowance. Here I'm going to mark the waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add a sewing allowance. At that blouse length, go ahead to mark your hip circumference divided by 4. Then the dart intake you have there, measure it, replace, then add your sewing allowance. Remember, you're making a blazer, and for a blazer pattern you don't need much sewing allowance. 1 inch is okay for this pattern so that it will not be bulky by the side, and especially because we have that conical effect by the side of the blazer. Now I'll just go ahead to connect. Now go ahead to pick where you want the neckline to be or stop and connect, then go in straight at the button allowance for it to overlap, right? So from here, I'll come down by 3 inches, 3.5, and then you're now going to go ahead to curve this. Do not mark it straight, curve it, blend in your dart and go in by half or 0.75, so that when you open it up, here will not be too wide. So from here, I'll now connect going up. So what you do is place your tape. You can connect like after measuring 4 inches or 5 inches. So before cutting out this, make sure that what you have is okay for you, right? So you can measure 4 inches and it's not okay for you, go ahead to use 4.5, 5, but make sure the length you have here is okay. Now to give that flay or conical effect, add like an extension of 3 inches and connect to the waistline. Now, if you're not okay with it, you can easily go ahead to readjust before cutting out your pattern. So this is what I have after drafting out, and I'll now go ahead to add my bust dart. I actually forgot to add that. Now to mark your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5, right? Now take out 15.5 from 17. What you're going to have is 1.5 inches. So that is how to get your bust dart, and you'll be blending that out when you're cutting out this pattern. So I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out. So if you have any question regarding this pattern drafting, please kindly leave your question at the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up. So after cutting this part, while cutting the side, make sure you blend out your dart and go ahead to cut out. So after I'm done drafting, this is what I have for the front. Let's move over to the back. For the back, I'm just going to leave it basic. I marked a basic neckline of 3x1 and I found my chest line just like we did for the front. Now I marked the shoulder to waist, shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist, and then the blouse length. The length of the back, I'll be using the front as a guide to mark that out. Go ahead to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 and mark it all the way down. Place your ruler and connect. Now mark a basic dart intake of 1/2 inch on both sides of the waist. Come down by half and then go ahead to extend your dart all the way up and to the lower part. So for this particular pattern for the back, you can decide to make your back dart a princess dart, but I'm just going to leave it basic this way. Now I'll extend it all the way down and also mark at the other side of my pattern. Now I'll insert my body measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, replace the dart intake and add a sewing allowance. Here I'll mark the hip circumference divided by 4 and add a sewing allowance. Now I'll go ahead to place my ruler to connect. After I'm done connecting, I'll be bringing the front pattern, that is the side of the front back pattern, because of this shape we have here, so that what you have at the front will rhyme with what you have at the back. So I'll just go ahead and curve it down, right? After that, I'll just go ahead to cut this out. So if you have any question regarding this pattern drafting, please go ahead to leave it at the comment section.